What's up, Change the Channel podcast listeners? My name is Making Grace, and this is another episode of Change the Channel podcast. Hi, cuties. Welcome back to the show. On today's episode, I'm going to bring you back into the archives of a really interesting founding kind of like core memory that I had and how I did some somatic rewriting with the help of community and the help of embodied action. And I'm feeling in my bones that this is so important for us to continue to spend time with this concept, the concept that I believe so much that we live and die by the stories that we tell ourselves. I think my therapist was saying the other day that there's only, maybe like 15% of our brain is conscious, and the rest is the subconscious. And so we are consistently, also do not quote me on that, the numbers. All I know is that if the brain was the pie, there's a tiny slice that we're actually using, and the rest of it is kind of just taking in information and creating meaning and busily doing things without us knowing about it, which I think is fascinating. So when we talk about somatic healing in a lot of ways, or somatic processing, it's getting connected with the sensations that are going on in your body. It's allowing, instead of I feel this, therefore that must mean this, it moves to, I feel this, what's possible? I feel this, where do I feel it? What is the texture of it? What is the intensity of it? What is the equal but opposite movement that could create maybe a little bit more spaciousness in that? Do you hear how the language isn't, I'm fixing this, I'm healing this, I'm changing this? It's, I'm curious with this and about this, and I'm sitting with it, and I'm being with it. And I, on today's episode, want to talk about this beautiful experience that I had recently, rewriting some powerful stories from all the way back when I was in middle school. Let's all take a big collective pause and breath and honor the brave little beings we were back in middle school, because y'all, that was a rough time for a lot of people. And also it was a time where we were in the part of our brain where we were creating a lot of meaning about the world, about ourselves, about connections and people and what's possible and safety and a lot of things. So I will say that right before this moment happened, or, this intentional rewriting, I had jumped on a call that my dear friend April J was hosting. She's just an incredible being, deeply connected to energetic forces and shamanic work, Reiki, but also deeply connected to empowering people with their intuition. And so I was on one of her calls, and she was talking about how the way that the planets are moving, I believe it is Saturn has moved into Aries, I believe, when we were talking about it. And it hadn't been there since 1996. Whatever the planetary placement was, it had not been there since 1996. And she said, what was going on in your life back in 1996? And what might in your, older, more grown version of your life right now, what might be being supported by that energy for you to come forward with? And it was interesting because back in 1996, I was in 6th and 7th grade and was having some of the biggest moments of trying to figure out if I belonged. Belonging was really big for me. I'm sure it was big for a lot of people. But one specific, very deep core memory, and I will tell you it was funny because I jumped right from that call from her directly to the roller skating rink, which is going to be the set of today's embodied rewriting and somatic curiosity space. So I heard that from her, and I had planned to go with Blake to roller skate. And roller skating is fascinating because, like most experiences and most things, I will say that a lot of that stuff is neutral. Roller skating is neither good nor bad. It's neither harmful or helpful. It's a neutral thing that we, each of us, create meaning around because we're meaning making machines. So Blake's eyes light up and he's like, let's go roller skating. His body is in the story of roller skating means community. Roller skating means, he's like, we cut our teeth at the roller rink. That's where we learned about who we were. That was where, you learn to fall down and get back up again. You learn, he could just go on in this beautiful kind of, unveiling as he was talking about what the roller skating rink meant to him. And somatically, or just in his body, I noticed, head up, like smile wide, cheekbones high, chest open, leaning in, kind of like engaged face, open posture. And all the signs were reading that the roller skating rink was, the best place, just the best place. He felt so much safety in the roller skating rink. Now, when I heard roller skating, I instinctively felt this gut punch in my solar plexus. I felt it was as if all of my ribs started slowly from kind of my clavicle down, just slightly zipping together, which if you'll notice when this happens, if you do it yourself, if you kind of like pinch slowly in these things, you'll notice that there's this rounding that happens in your back. It lowers your eyes. It kind of coils in your neck. It's the way that we move into the fetal position. I couldn't feel my arms. My face felt numb. I was like, my body is reading this neutral event as a threat. His body is reading this neutral event as a joy and an adventure. And I just told him, I was like, oh man, roller skating rinks. Ooh, roller skating rinks. And he goes, okay. Because Blake is great about this. He's always been this way ever since we started seeing each other. But I think even now we have our shared language around it. And he goes, okay, what's coming up on your floppy disk? And I was like, well, the last time I remember being at the roller rink was when I was in 7th grade. That awkward age. I grew 6 inches a year from kindergarten all the way to, I think, my freshman year of high school. I'm 5'11", and I just remember kind of the fact that everything was always moving so quickly. And also back then, because I'm a child of the 80s, no one believed that growing pains were real. Shout out to those of you that had growing pains and people didn't believe you, because that shit was real. But part of that, I think, meant that my body was just it felt like I was kind of chasing to keep up with even what my body was. It made me a little bit more clumsy, and it made me kind of not really fully understand my reach of things, because surprise, about the time I figured it out, I would grow again. So imagine putting that sweet Bambi type body on roller skates with wheels and make me even a couple inches taller, which just in my mind was like, it's a couple inches more to fall. And like, so I end up kind of having a little bit of a meltdown. Can you relate to this? Does someone ever bring up something and they're like in full blown yes mode and you're in, oh my God, why mode? And so he sat with me and was like, okay, tell me more about this. And I was like, yeah, so I was in 7th grade and was doing, was at the roller rink with the youth group. And, I was so, I wanted to know my place. I wanted to know where I fit. And so I tried to become friends with this group of girls, and girls can be mean, just deeply mean, when we're not operating in our highest frequency, and, passively mean. And basically I spent the whole time being sort of passed around between people that were giving me all the body language and signs that, who I was not good enough, was not, didn't belong. And on top of that, is the roller skates, and the roller skates were making me feel pretty unstable. And I just remember finally, I really tried. I tried in a lot of ways and it just wasn't working. And so I ended up hiding in the bathroom for a while just because the intensity of everything was so much. My dad thankfully ended up coming early to pick me up. And I just remember seeing him and he was like, it's okay. Like, don't, you can keep playing with your friends. I didn't mean to come earlier, like spoil your fun. And I just ran to him and was like, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here. And to which, I think it was probably one of the most noteworthy bonding kind of moments with my dad and I as well, because I proceeded to cry all the way home and sit in the garage and cry with him longer and just say, Daddy, what's wrong with me? Why don't they like me? Whew. Yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy. And shout out to any and all of your inner children that experience that also. The why don't they like me? Why don't they like me? Because, they're because of a million reasons why we just decide we don't like other people. And anyway, my dad, kind of calmed me down. But I will say whenever I hear roller skating rink, my body instantly goes back. I'm in 7th grade again. I'm like a 12-year-old kid. I'm freaked out. So Blake was like, okay, well, if you're up for it, let's do some rewriting. There's options here. And so I will tell you, the day was coming and I was like, okay. Because I'm also not someone that's interested in my stories from the past ruling my present. And so I said, okay, let's do this. And it felt like fighting everything in me. All my protectors were like this little guardian army. And I walked into the roller skating rink and I heard the music was going and the people were going around. And Blake was like, yeah, so the way that this works is if you're new, you go to the middle. And if you're doing tricks or if you're new, you go to the middle. And I was like, that baby is a long ways away from the wall. I want the wall. And he goes, the thing is that you don't want the wall because that's where people are going really fast. And that means that the likelihood of you being essentially trampled is high. So you don't want to be on the wall. And I thought that was another really poignant point of reframing is a lot of times, what are the things that we're clinging on to that we think are making us safe, but are actually keeping us in harm's way or keeping us in the flow or the process of things moving at a level that isn't what we're wanting? What can we let go of? What can we find some bravery to unclench our fingers from? Is it an ideal? Is it a ritual? Is it a friendship? Is it a belief around money? Is it a belief about ourself or other people? Sit with that. Think about that. And back to the story. So he breaks the news to me that not only am I going to be brand spanking new at this and kind of freaked out, but I'm going to be very far away from the wall. But he's like, but first we're going to practice on the carpet, and I'm going to show you some techniques, and I'm going to give you some processes that you can do that can help keep you safe. And that concept just blew my mind, because I will tell you, back in the day when I was roller skating, I didn't know there was any technique. The biggest technique that I was trying to find is like to be close to the wall or to try to move, in little bits of ways. But yeah. So he was like, all right, so let me show you first off how to go, and how to go in a way that your skates don't cross. I was like, oh, there's strategy to this. And so we started practicing a little bit with that. At one point he was like, all right, just lift one skate up just a little bit, and then I'm going to be the momentum, and then you practice putting down your brakes. And it was the kindness. It was the tenderness. It was I'm here with you. I know that you're scared. And instead of sitting with and being like, okay, let's talk a lot about the scared. It was, would it feel better for you if you had some tools so that you could come at this situation differently? And that really is, that's the way that we empower people, right? We offer tools, and we offer a safe place to practice being new at them. And we offer a proximity of connection as well, because a big part of my roller skating wound was feeling really left out. And so he was like, okay, so we practiced a little bit on the carpet, and I was like, okay, I'm still really freaked out. And he was like, okay, and you're doing great. Do you want to go over to the area, the beginner's area? And I was like, yes. And so he held my hand and just kind of glided me over there. And I will tell you, having someone that you can borrow their hope, or borrow their belief, or borrow their feeling of security and safety when you're new and when you're reprogramming something in your mind about this, it's like a non-negotiable. I mean, whether it's someone from your spirit team, whether it's a family member, whether it's a practitioner, whether it's a friend, whether it's your animals, we are meant to co-regulate with each other. And as he was helping me navigate around this space, and I started to feel this sense of like, oh no, I'm taking too long. Oh no, he probably wants to be doing something else. Oh no, no, no. So on top of me trying to just not fall and eat shit, I was also worried about how he was feeling. And instinctively, almost without me even being able to say it, he goes, and just so you know, I'm always already having fun. The roller skating rink is great for me. Whatever pace feels good to you is the best pace for today. And instantly I felt this melting from even like my throat to my shoulders to down my back and my hips. I was like, I don't have to rush my own process because I'm actively rewriting a lot right now. My body is busy. There's a lot going on. And so we started going around in circles a little bit, and I would feel myself kind of standing up a little bit. Oh, this was another key point. So he showed me how to move, but then he also showed me, the ways that you can position your body to provide the most favorable outcome possible. This is like, all right, you got to bend your knees and make sure that your chin's over your knees, and put your hands in little fists, because you don't want your hands to like slap down, because it's not guarding your wrists, and also someone could roll over them. So he was like, bend your knees, chin over your knees, and point your toes like slightly in. And I was like, okay. And he's like, And if you fall, it's fine. Like falling is not the end of the world. I was like, okay, well, we'll see. So if you can imagine, he's just still like bright eyed, like this is great. And I'm cautiously optimistic, we will say. So as we start going around, I notice that the second I feel even slightly unstable, my arms kind of start flailing and I stand up. And he's like, bend your knees, bend your knees. And so it started to become this repetition muscle memory where I would sense, it was like the initial impulse was afraid, get bigger. And then it was, nope, squat down. So it was like this sort of like rise up and down kind of motion, subtly. And he was like, I was going around and I kept being like, whoa, whoa, okay, down. Okay, whoa, whoa, okay, down. Whoa, 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 okay, down. And he was like, man. And so I was looking at the situation. I'm like, gosh, I'm so unstable. I just, I really am kind of bad at this. But it's okay. It's okay to be new and it's okay to, just trying really hard to battle the multiple voices in my head about this. And he goes, wow, you must be feeling really, really confident about yourself right now because you've just been able to save so many falls, because the technique is like locked in for you. And that never occurred to me. That was not how I was feeling the day was going. And he was just like, yeah, like you're doing amazing. You're doing incredible. And I was like, I'm doing amazing. I'm doing incredible. Pause right there. That reframe, that channel change of, oh, I've almost fallen so many times. That means that I must not be doing well, to, whoa, you've saved so many falls. You must be feeling much more confident because you understand the technique and you know how to put it forward in your body and you're doing really great right now. So I was like, okay, what if I am? And then he was like, all right, do you want to go to the next level of the thing? I was like, yes. And so we started to kind of maneuver a little bit in this other kind of, area where there was less things to hold on to, but whatever. Then, my dear audience, was the moment where we were at the side of the roller skating rink and he was like, okay, we've got to look for an opening and we're going to go get you in the middle of the rink. Oh my God. The fear that went right back through my body again. I was like, I don't know. I don't think I know anything. And he was like, let's take a deep breath. We're not in a rush, but let's go try it. He goes, I won't leave your side. I will be here. We'll be doing it together. You'll be just fine. I've got you. And I was like, okay. And so he grabbed my hand. I let go of the wall and I trusted. I held his hand and I trusted. And we started navigating our way across the steady stream of beautiful, like skating people that were having a really good time. We got over in the middle and all of a sudden it just hit me. I was like, oh my God, I'm here. He was like, you did it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm here. I'm in the middle and it's okay. And everything's okay. And it's different. And it was the letting go of the wall, the allowing myself to be both safe and profoundly uncomfortable that started to make my brain have to reevaluate the story that we've decided about this. And so he was like, okay, well, let's start with a little bit of the fundamentals. And I started kind of grooving a little bit. The other thing that Blake does really, really well is he pulls from past experience things. So he's like, okay, he's like, I know you love to twerk. He's like, get up a little bit on your twerk toes. He goes, you don't really twerk standing up. You twerk and I would move down into that position. I was like, perfect. Okay. Now, let's get a little bit of those swinging bachata hips. add a little bit of that into it, like, so you can glide a little bit more. And now when you turn, let's let's lean on this one side. That's a little bit like, kind of like when you're ready to get up and like, do like a straight kick in kickboxing and all of a sudden he was piecing together these parts of my body's already awareness and said, you know how to do this. You know how to do a lot more about this than you knew. Let's pull from the positive that is in your memory bank and add it to this new situation. And I will tell you, all of a sudden I was like, okay. And then I would have these moments where just like in life, just like when we're learning a new skill, just like when we're healing from a past trauma, just when we're learning to trust again, just when we're dating after divorce, just when we're hosting our first workshop as a practitioner and scared shitless, just when we're trying to make a new friend in a new space, or starting a new job, or leaving a job that we shouldn't be in, or actually standing up for ourselves with boundaries for the first time, maybe ever. Insert all the things. That is what I feel like was happening in my body as I was slowly pushing off, gaining momentum, gaining speed, starting to like lean into the fundamentals. And I will tell you that as I was doing all of that, I would get a little bit unstable and I would instinctively stand up and then I would go back down. It was like, no. I could just hear in my head the kind of practice metronome of Blake being like, bend your knees, chin over your knees, hands in a ball. That way you don't fall backwards. And I just kept going, getting a little bit unstable, kind of flailing, and then going back into this new pattern of a thing that I was learning. And that kept me very safe. And he would come by and he was like, what? And like, he was like, give me 3. So we would do like the 3 high fives and then salute. To celebrate. He was like, that was another save. And that was another save. And that was another save. And like every time I would save, from completely wiping out and allow my mind to be in a space of, I've got this, he would come by and he would celebrate again. And then he was like, how you doing? You good? And I was like, yeah. I was like, you can go have fun too. I'm playing with this now. Now I don't feel like I need that much of like that safety piece. It's more of like, now we move from like the basic need of safety to play. And that is a really, really, really profound and powerful shift as we move somatically through something. Once we move from how do I not die basically to how can I play with this the new nuances, that's when the nervous system moves into more of the rest and digest. It's the prefrontal cortex comes back online. Traumatized people can't play. That's part of Bessel van der Kolk's work, The Body Keeps Score. One of his big things is when you're stuck in a trauma loop, you can't play. The brain is just hardwired to make sure that you're safe everywhere, and safety and play aren't always the same. So I felt somatically the shift from, do I belong here? I think I'm going to fall. What if I hurt myself? If I hurt myself, I can't work. And if I can't work, I can't take care of myself, and blah, 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 blah. I'm not even going to go down that whole rabbit trail because I'm sure, listeners, you have your own quick, fast, from point A to point, dead thing, like happens really quickly. But with this, it was, I knew that I had someone that was watching for me, that he started introducing me to some other people that he knew in the rink, and was just like, yeah, we're doing a little bit of like rewriting about stuff. He was so proud. And the people that I was meeting were also like, yeah, no, that totally happened to me before too. And like, this is just a great spot for it. And I was able to witness, that we're all doing that. We're all in a constant state of having something that we're moving through. Anyone that's pretending like they're not moving through something is either really good at pretending or lying to themselves or you. Let's just be kinder to ourselves and each other and realize we don't know what anybody else's roller rink is. Something you might be walking into and you're like, I've got this. Someone else might be like, this is terrifying to me for a million reasons. Compassion, community, engagement, joy, play. These are all tools at our disposal to allow our nervous systems to be back on board with what we're doing. And then it's even better when you have someone that you can borrow their hope and their enthusiasm and some of the tools that they've used walking the same path a little bit before you. Be like, okay, cool. As long as I bend my knees and keep my chin over my knees, I'm safe. And so safety could stop being my primary focus. And then I actually started hearing the music. I actually started feeling a little bit of the sway. And I will tell you that I think I may have saved my own bacon probably at least 20 sometimes, something like that. I didn't fall because I leaned into the new technique, and I trusted that someone else that had walked this path before me had an idea. And if I followed in those footsteps, then I could likely get some similar outcomes. And I just felt it changing the way that I felt about myself. It felt so good to have somebody move at my speed and my level and celebrate with me the big and small wins along the way. Well, then it became the time where I was like, well, dang, my supporting leg over here does not want to bend anymore. I'm starting to feel like I've reached max capacity of what I'm doing. And so Blake came by again and I'm like, babe, I think I'm getting tired because my brain and my body connection are not as in sync anymore. But now got to move from this safe little cocoon in the middle of the rink across the sea of the people and get out or whatever. And he was like, okay. So he came over and he held my hand and he was like, all right, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And we moved our way across. And then it was funny because as I was getting close to the wall, then I almost anticipated the wall hitting. And I almost became even more unstable because I started to try to adapt my body to this static thing. This old tool that I thought was my safety was actually a thing that was keeping me more unstable. And so he was like, okay, we welcome the wall. The wall's our friend. You don't have to brace against it. You can just run straight into it. It's totally fine. And so it's kind of interesting to almost go back to what I thought was the move, the wall. And then with my new somatic experience of roller skating, I could look at even the tools that were my helpers before through new lenses and new eyes. And that's powerful, y'all. That is so powerful because it's not that I ever want the walls to go away. The walls need to be there. The walls, there's security in those. There's purpose for those. There's structure in those. But I don't need to cling to them like they are my safety anymore because I have techniques that I'm using. And I have seen myself through new eyes. I've borrowed the hope from a friend, from someone that cares for me. And then I've moved them. I've moved through the world, assuming that the way that they see me is correct. And I had a very different experience of myself. And I will tell you, the fear that the 12-year-old had and the valor, I will say, the sheer delight, the bravery that I felt as my 41-year-old self on roller skates, those are both the same. They are both experiences. They're both just as true as the other. Just because it's easier to remember the hard things and have a harder time sometimes celebrating the good things doesn't mean that one is more valid than the other. And so roller skating, I I watched and Blake was like going around, and I mean, this man's like dancing on skates and he's like feeling the music, and, his locks are like blowing in the wind. And I was just like, wow, even if you're not sitting next to me, I'm letting my body feel the sense of like belonging. Like there's a person here that I know would stop skating if I needed them, but also I don't need them right now. I can witness them in play and joy. And it was that like community piece that was so good. It was so good. And I would have missed out on all of that. I would have stayed in the state that I was in about skating if I hadn't trusted this new person, and if I hadn't trusted myself that I can grow and I can do hard things. I can move past the old narratives. And my loves, you can too. You are not the frozen 12-year-old version of yourself. You are not the you're not the runt of the litter. You're not the, you're not the damsel. You're not the victim. You're not the, you're not the person you were on your hardest day. You get a new day every day to redetermine who you are and who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world. And if you don't know how to move from one space to the next, if you're still like, my whole world just really feels like this, look for somebody else that's moving the way that you are, and invite them into your life to help share the things on the path that they've learned. So we're not meant to learn in a vacuum. We're not meant to learn on our own. And so we need each other. We just really do. And that's where like a really good friend, that's where having a coach, that's where going in and actually getting your muscles worked on through body work, through acupuncture, through, like chiropractic, setting the bones, like taking care of the vessel that is our body is not a luxury. It is arming our operating system so that every day that we wake up, we have a new chance and a new shot to redetermine who and how we think we are. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Now, at the end of that, was I like, yeah, man, I'm a freaking G on these skates? No, I was like, I am so grateful. And now when I think about going back, I don't have dread about it. I have curiosity about it, and I have intrigue about it. And I have marked true experiences that tell me that skating doesn't have to mean bad. Skating can go back to being neutral, and I can trust myself. I can trust the tools in my community and my body, my amazing body that, brought it all together for me. She brought it home. Yeah. What in your life is your skating rink? What in your life have you allowed to be the freeze-framed, frozen Polaroid picture version of you? And are you holding on to that narrative and that identity as if it will keep you safe? Because, my loves, it won't. You have outgrown that shit. Your body is craving to outgrow that shit. But sit with it. I invite you to journal about it. I invite you to free ad lib and think about it. What if someone were to have Polaroid pictures of, these kind of like core memories that helped you learn who you are and what you're capable of? Do you know what those are? Because those are the things that are oftentimes running your mindset and the capacity that you feel that you have in the world. Those are the glass ceilings you put on yourself. And those are the ways that you continue to allow yourself to be in situations where people maybe mistreat you in certain ways. And I'm saying this with all gentleness. This is not to victim blame. This is simply a taking accountability and ownership of yourself allows you options. And options mean choices, and choices means freedom, and freedom means possibility. And I want you to be living a life that feels full of possibility. I want you to be living a life where you know that you and your body are allies with each other, where you're not afraid of the sensations that you feel in your body. You're not judging yourself when you feel a little bit wobbly learning something new. I want you to live, especially right now, in the world that we're living in right now, where fear is this obnoxious motivating force that people use to kind of pull at us like puppets on strings. The biggest somatic rebellion that you can do, this rebellion like burning within yourself, is to say, I'm not just going to be pulled around by my fear. I'm going to look for ways to learn new tools, to step into new ways of being, and invite myself to try something on and to be new again. It's really profound. It's really amazing. My kickboxing coach the other day was saying that they've done a bunch of studies on top 1% athletes, and those athletes, it's not their meal plan or their workout strategy or whatever that really is the thing that sets them apart. It's how they talk to themselves when things are going to shit. Are you beating your own self up when something is going sideways? Are you shitting on yourself? Are you your best ally, or are you the worst boss that you've ever had? The 1% of these like top athletes, they are always in their own head, hyping themselves up. They're being like Blake, coming around being like, all right, let's do those like 3 high fives and a salute because you saved this. You like got in posture. You like knew what you were doing. You were like making it move. You were making it work. Like that's what we need running on repeat with ourselves when we're trying to learn fear resiliency and when we're rewriting stories. So in recap of all of that, I'd love for you to sit with, what is your roller skating rink? And in that roller skating rink, what's the story that from this moment on you would like to live in there? What would you like to feel? What would you like to experience? How would you like to think about yourself? How would you like to interact with others? What do you want the roller skating rink places in your life to mean? And then ask yourself, do I have the tools I need to get me there? If you do not, great. We do not shame ourselves for not having the tools. We say this is amazing information. What are the tools, or what is it that I want to feel? And then start to look around and attune and ask, who has the kind of tools that I'm looking for? What experiences do I need to have so that I can start seeing myself as capable of having those tools as well? And then throughout the process of being new, embody the 1% of athletes mentality that says, I am going to talk kindly to myself. I am going to motivate myself. I'm going to believe in myself harder than almost anyone in this roller skating rink. That's super important. And then invite somebody else into your corner to cheerlead for you so that you have a visceral, in-person, mirrored back reminder that you are doing way better than you thought you are. Because most likely, loved ones, you are. Because you're out there changing the channel. You're out there building and creating a new reality for yourself every day. So there's a lot to cheer for. I will tell you, cheering for people is one of my favorite parts of being alive. If you do not have a person that can cheerlead for you, I will put a link in the show notes. let's get on a call and let's figure out some ways to reignite this part of you. If you all of a sudden were like, oh shit, the roller skating rink feels huge and I feel small. And this is so intense. I got you. Click the link. Let's rewrite your roller skating rink story as well, because you matter enough for that to happen. Full stop. Pause, full stop. You just matter enough. Okay? I'm so proud of you. If no one's told you yet today, you are beautiful, you are worthy, you are loved, you are important, you are wise, you are learning, you are able to fail and still be worthy of love and belonging. You belong, and who you are is profoundly important for the ecosystem of the planet. You being exactly who you are is a gift to everyone around you. Okay? Feel like I don't know, I want to be like, put our hands in the middle, almost like, in a huddle, be like, all right, ready, break. So with that, my loves, that was another episode of Change the Channel podcast. Thank you for being here. Like, share, comment, all the things. If this resonated with you, I would love to hear. Okay? Appreciate you so much. This is another episode of Change the Channel podcast. See you later.